Greetings, my excellent friends.
It's 1986. Nintendo Entertainment System has just stormed the North American market, overwhelming people with Super Mario Bros. And Zelda and all these great games.
Now you're playing with power.
Goose, Maverick, Iceman, they are hitting the big screen in the new Top Gun movie.
The need for speed.
And a cool dude named Takura Yura gets employed by the Tamiya Model Company to design a very, very special 10th anniversary model kit called the BigWig. Think it's time for a little 80s montage.
A four-wheel drive off-road racer called the BigWig. The superb downforce and slippery features of its lightweight body were designed for Tamiya by Mr. Takura Yura, the most famous race car designer in Japan.
The BigWig is based off the hotshot platform of vehicles. Really simple shaft-driven, four-wheel drive, four-wheel independent suspension. We've got 4 shocks on this guy, no mono shocks, but it's based on that same platform of the Boomerang and the Hotshot. No center differential, no CVDs anywhere. It predates all of that stuff. Really back in this era, it was all about designs, crazy designs in fact. And when I say designs, look at this giant wing. The body is essentially just a giant spoiler. Now, when Takura Yura was designing this, he was inspired by race cars that were racing in the Pikes Peak race in Colorado, which was an up mountain race. I think it's about 20 miles or something like that. I might be wrong, don't quote me on that, but they race up a mountain at crazy high speeds. And some of the designs of the vehicles that they've used over the years are really, really cool and out there designs, all about downforce for whatever reason. I don't understand that race scene at all. But some really interesting designs have come around over the years. And looking at these designs, you get an idea of where the BigWig came from. And yes, while my BigWig is a re-release from 2017, one thing that I think makes this re-release even more special than the original is the fact that the decals have changed. Over the years with all the Tamiya re-release kits, you'll notice that in the 80s and 90s, they had a lot of licensing. So they had actual brand names on their vehicles. On their decals, whereas today there are a lot of made-up companies like Blockhead Motors and Joker Customs. But one interesting fact is that the wing decal, Mooncraft Company Limited, is the actual company that Takura Yura owns and operates, designing body kits and spoiler kits and all these really neat body designs for the Pikes Peak race. And that simple fact to me makes this re-release kit, in fact, a little bit more precious than the original. Speaking of the original, let's talk about some of the differences. Thankfully, not much has changed over the different production runs of this particular kit. The real major difference that I'm going to have to point out is the motor. Original Tamiya BigWig came out with the RS540VZ, I think it was, the Technigold motor, which is a very special motor. They go for huge dollars today. I do like what they did here. It does still come with a special motor. And basically, this new re-release version comes out with a GT tuned motor that has a nice decal on it, a special decal with the Tamiya BigWig logo on it, which I think is a nice touch that they did. Other than that, gone is the old 3-step forward, 2-step reverse manual speed controller. And in comes the TBLE02 SESC, which is a beautiful upgrade if you ask me. Mechanical speed controllers are awful, terrible things. And then the decals are a little bit different. And really, guys, that's about it. This thing remains virtually unchanged from the original run. So let's take a minute and appreciate some of the very special and very unique design elements of the Tamiya BigWig. Fun fact, the BigWig was designed to accept an 8.4 volt battery. The first time in history that Tamiya came out with a buggy that specifically could hold a 7-cell nickel metal hydride battery. That's pretty cool. 8.4 volts versus 7.2 doesn't sound like much, but it's a big speed burst. And to be honest, it's pretty heavy. It's a pretty clunky, heavy buggy. So that extra 1.2 volts would really get this thing going. It's got 4-wheel independent suspension. It's got this really cool rack and pinion steering system, which I'm not about to take mine apart and show you exactly how it works, but it's got a neat servo saver that has these teeth on it and works sort of in this circular motion. It was revolutionary at the time. It's kind of passé by today's standards. Some really nice scale details. It's got the scale V8 motor in the back, just like the cars of the day would have, with big exhaust tips, which are pretty rad. Now again, some people don't like these design elements. They don't like the big bulky exhaust tips and the blue and the yellow and these front shock towers I read online. People saying they seem like almost maybe an afterthought, but I think they're rad. They're super duper rad. They're so 1980s Tamiya. The dish wheels, oval block tires, and robust ABS bathtub chassis make this thing a really, really fun runner. And one complaint that I've heard about the BigWig is that it's a little on the chunky side. In fact, I've heard it called the Big Pig. I've seen it referred to as the Big Pig. And while it doesn't weigh that much more than some of its competitors like the Hot Shot or the Boomerang, I'll tell you personally, when I drive this thing, it feels like I'm driving a bit of a tank. It is pretty heavy. It feels kind of clunky. Of course, I've never raced it, but it does have a more stout feel to it. In fact, I'd like to try with an 8.4 volt battery to see if I could get a little more juice out of it. I run mine on a 7.4 volt 2S LiPo, which works fantastic, but it'd be really neat to get that extra voltage. I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. All the love and support. I really do appreciate it. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all the new subscribers out there. Appreciate you guys. And as always, be excellent to each other.